day and welcome to AGK's Vinyl Life. I'm your host, Anthony K. And today, Thursday, December 31st, 2020. That's right, it's New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, everybody. And I'm personally glad to see 2020 packing its bags and hitting the road, Jack, tonight at midnight, because we all know that 2020 has been a bad to the bone year. So I'm anxious to welcome in 2021, and let's hope that 2021 is a much happier and healthier year for the entire world next year. And with that being said, welcome to the show. So being the last day of the year, I'm going to do something kind of traditional that happened on radio stations when I was a kid. AM radio stations would count down their top 100 songs every New Year's Eve, and it would go through New Year's Eve overnight and into New Year's Day for them to count down those top 100 songs. FM stations used to count down their top 100 or 50 or whatever it was albums and play deep cuts from those albums over the New Year's Eve and into New Year's Day. So I'm going to follow suit and do my top 25 new studio albums on vinyl for 2020. And I have seen a few videos done by other VC channels already this week, their top 10s and their top 15s. And the one thing that I've noticed on those channels is that people show a lot of reissues, remasters, things they found that are OGs from the 70s and 80s that they found crate digging. And that's great, and I love all the videos I've seen so far. I love all the top 10s I've seen so far and top 15s I've seen so far. But I'm going to do mine more traditional to the way the radio stations used to do it back in the day, even though I probably haven't listened to a radio station in 20 years. Mine's going to be based on new studio albums only, the way they used to be done. No reissues, no remasters, no live albums, no compilation albums, any of that. New releases by artists. Because I'm a music enthusiast. I'm not stuck in any decades, and I'm not stuck in any genres. And there's nothing wrong with any of the people and VC members that are stuck in their decade or stuck in their genre. Music is subjective. Everybody loves what they love, and that's great. And I appreciate everybody's opinion on their music and what they have to show. Absolutely. But I'm always seeking new music. I love new music. My collection is at a point where I don't really go after that many old pressings and old releases anymore, because I kind of have everything I want from the past. So I'm always looking into the future. I never look to the past. I always look to the future. And I always appreciate all these new artists, up-and-coming artists and existing artists. And I'm always after new music. And even though we've been in a pandemic this year, there's been lots and lots of new releases in the past year. Tons of them. I've probably picked up from new releases, new studio albums, over 40 at least. I counted over 40 at least over the last year. And I base my year from about mid-November of the previous year to mid-November of this year, because to do a top 20 of 2020, it's not really fair to try to judge an album that came out in the middle of November to the end to now, because I really haven't had enough time to digest new material in just a month. You can't digest and really rank an album fairly after hearing it only 1 month. Its lastability, how long does this record last? How much of an impression did it make on you over the year? And let's get on with it. But before they do that, I just want to remind everybody that if they do like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thumbs up always make everybody feel good. And all us VC channels, we work really hard on our videos. So, I always try to give a thumbs up to all my fellow VC members when they do their videos. So, everybody give a thumbs up. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It makes everybody feel good, especially in these challenging times. And if you didn't like it, don't give it a thumbs down. Just don't say anything at all. If you don't like it, just don't be negative. Have positivity. We need more positivity in the world right now. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. I am absolutely thrilled with where my channel has gotten to here on New Year's Eve. I started this channel at the end of February, the last week of February this year, and in 10 months, I've got over 750 subscribers. I can't believe that many people subscribe to me and want to watch my episodes every week. And speaking of watching my episodes every week, turn that notification bell on if you are a subscriber so you don't miss one of my episodes or live streams. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at AGK_lifetime of vinyl, where I try to post my spin of the day every day. And as always, comments are always welcome down below the video. I try to reply to every comment that people send. And with that all being said, let's get on with it. Let's get to it. We got lots of records to show here. I'm not going to drag this out. A lot of these, most of these records I've shown at some point in the year in Vinyl Finds videos. So this is a ranking. First time I've ever done a ranking. And it wasn't easy, believe me. With over 40 new releases, new studio albums by artists, it was really tough to narrow it down to 25. And then, for me, who never does ranking videos, really tough to narrow it down to, put them in order from 25 to 1. And when ranking these albums, I try to do it logically, have some sort of method in picking these that made sense. And the easiest way was initial impact the album had on me, sustainability, how long the album was high in my playlist. Is it still high in my playlist? Did I spin it a lot? Did I spin it a little? All those sort of little factors made it sort of easy to narrow them down and finally rank, because I never do ranking videos, to finally rank these from 1st to 25. Let's get on with it. And first up here, I'm going to show some honorable mentions. I'm going to blow through these super fast, these honorable mentions. And these were ones that didn't make my top 25, but there was nothing I bought this year that I would call a dog album. But here's 10 honorable mentions from 2020, real fast. BB and the Blues Shacks, Dirty 30. Kristen Chenoweth, For the Girls. Ace Frehley, Origins, Volume 2. In This Moment, Mother. Some great metal. Carly Rae Jepsen, Dedicated, the B-side. Lyra Lynn, great singer-songwriter, On My Own, released just a couple months ago. Cindy Blackman Santana, Give the Drummer Some, Carlos Santana's wife and drummer, and a fabulous debut solo album from her. Tuvlo, Sunshine Kitty, released late last November. I think it arrived late December last year, so it was it was one of the earliest ones to come on my list. Sunshine Kitty, Tuvlo, fantastic artist. Yellow Claw, DJs from Eastern Europe, and their release this year, fabulous spin. And last but not least, Neil Young and Crazy Horse, released late November 2019, and I didn't get a chance to really digest this album until earlier this year. And it is the Colorado album, a great outing from Neil Young and Crazy Horse, but not quite as rocky as previous Neil Young and Crazy Horse efforts. So those are honorable mentions in my top albums of 2020. So let's dive now into the top 25 new studio albums on vinyl for 2020, my top 25. And coming in at 25th place is an artist that released his 4th album this year. I have all his albums. They are fantastic. He does everything himself on the albums, though he does have a band that plays with him when he tours. He's known as Tame Impala, and this is his latest effort from earlier this year, The Slow Rush. Tame Impala, The Slow Rush, in at 25th place for the year. Fabulous effort from him, though I do prefer his Currents album, his previous album, Currents. If I were going to recommend a starting point for Tame Impala, I would say get Currents, his previous album from a couple of years ago, first. But a great effort from Tame Impala, The Slow Burn, in at number 25. At 24, my first album from this band, and I do one day want to hear more of their music, but first album I've ever had from these guys, girls actually, it's an all-girl band. They're kind of a little bit of punk, a little bit of garage, a little bit of hard rock, all mixed together and smooshed together. Great band. They are called LA Witch, and this is number 24 in my top 25 albums of 2020. Number 24, LA Witch, Play with Fire. That's right, Play with Fire, LA Witch. Fantastic rock and rolling album. And the thing I like about their sound is that all the vocals are very much in the back and all the instruments are out in the front. Very cool. Great album, really surprising spin, and I'm giving it number 24 for 2020. In at 23rd place, a band that's been around for a long, long time, from the early 60s, and they released their latest album last December. That's right, it came out last December, mid-December 2019, and it's a great spin, a surprisingly good spin. I think a lot of people had kind of written them off and saying, there's only Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey left. How good can they be? Well, they are great, and this is the album. This is The Who, and their album Who, and I really love this album, and I'm putting it in at number 23 for 2020. That's right, number 23, The Who with Who. And this particular version I have was a pre-order exclusive directly from the Who website, so it was pressed on double 45 RPM vinyl and included an exclusive 10-inch EP of a song recorded and never ever released ever in 1965 called Sand, which is absolutely fantastic. But The Who with Who, number 23 in my top 25 new releases of 2020. In at number 22, great blues guitarist. I have a lot of his albums, and this one came out late October. It might have actually charted a little higher on my list, but it hasn't had obviously as much play as other albums on my list. That's where it's ranked, but it is a fantastic album. I love all this guy's albums. He's a great performer, great guitarist. Joe Bonamassa. And this is his Royalty album, released at the end of October. Royalty, recorded at Abbey Road Studios in London. Double LP. Joe Bonamassa never disappoints. I've seen him a couple times in concerts. He's incredible. What a guitarist. And another great outing from Joe Bonamassa. Royalty in at number 22 on my top 25 of 2020. Now in at number 21, an album that was 35 years in the making. Yeah, 35 years in the making, this album, 35 years in the making. And it's from a band called Grand Slam. That's right, Grand Slam. Hit the Ground is the name of the album. Hit the Ground by Grand Slam. And for those of you who don't know who Grand Slam are, they were the band that Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy fame was working with. He created Grand Slam with another fellow, and they hadn't finished recording their first album when Phil Lynott passed away. And the only documented Grand Slam catalog is a couple of live recordings and a couple of singles that got released. But the album had never been made because Phil Lynott passed away. 35 years later, the surviving member of Grand Slam decided to finally realize Grand Slam and put together a band. And half of the songs on this album were penned by Phil Lynott. They were the songs that Phil Lynott had originally written for the Grand Slam album. Finally realized, and it's a spectacular album. In at number 21 for 2020, Grand Slam, Hit the Ground. So now onto the top 20, and coming in at number 20 is the fifth studio release from this artist, from this young lady. And she was originally eliminated on America's Got Talent, but has gone on to become a world-class musician, and she is a world-class violinist. She mixes classical violin with dubstep and modern pop. She is an absolute sensation. I was supposed to see her live in concert this summer until the pandemic postponed her show until next year. So I look forward to hopefully being able to see her live next year. Her name is Lindsey Sterling. She is incredible. In at number 20 for 2020, her latest studio effort, and it's a concept album called Artemis. That's right, Artemis from Miss Lindsey Sterling, double LP, fantastic. I highly, highly recommend this spin. It is incredible. Lindsey Sterling, Artemis. Coming in at number 19 is from a Canadian independent artist. I've spoken about this young man many, many times on my channel. and I promote him as much as I can. He's incredible. He's a multi-instrumentalist, plays all the instruments on the albums himself. This is his 4th studio album. Records, masters, mixes, does everything himself, though on this particular album he does have some guest players as well, adding a little flavor to the album. Some guest players on instruments and on vocals, which adds a little bit of flavor, but it's still, 90% Mark Anthony Kaye and his Project Gemini, and the 4th studio album from Project Gemini, and this is called In the Year. Cert 3073, Book 1, and Book 2 has just been released. So everybody, Book 2 is out now and available for purchase from Mark Anthony Kaye. Go visit him on Bandcamp, check him out. I'm ranking this album number 19 in my top 25 new studio albums of 2020. And this is a test pressing. Thank you, Mark, very much for this test pressing. Fantastic progressive metal. If you like Rush and you want to smush those two together, you've got Project Gemini. Fantastic. Can't speak higher of them. Number 19. Congratulations, Mark. Number 19 on my AGK's top 25 albums of 2020. Coming in at number 18 on my top 25 is a symphonic metal band from Eastern Europe. Though they are more, their sound is more like 80s hair metal, I guess, if you were to really try to sum them up better. Not so much symphonic metal, though they are probably classified as symphonic metal, but I'd say their sound is definitely modeled after 80s hair metal. This is their 2nd studio album, I believe. They are called the Nightflight Orchestra. The album dropped earlier this year in February. It's called Aromatic. A fantastic spin. Highly recommend it. Aromatic, the Nightflight Orchestra, a little symphonic or hair metal, modern hair metal from Eastern Europe. Great spin. Number 17, also a symphonic metal band from Eastern Europe. Back to back here, a couple of symphonic metal bands from Eastern Europe. This is the 2nd one, and this is a fantastic spin, and this one dropped right when the world went into lockdown at the beginning of March, when everybody was locking their doors. The appropriately and coincidentally named album by Delane, Apocalypse and Chill, coming in at number 17 in my top 25 new studio releases of 2020. Delane, symphonic metal, and their Apocalypse and Chill album. Highly recommend. An incredible spin. Definitely one of my favorites this year. Coming in at number 17, Apocalypse and Chill by Delane. In at number 16 this year, a fantastic album from this young lady. I got into this young lady through my daughter. She was my daughter's, when my daughter was very little, she was her idol. And of course, my daughter's a teenager now and still follows her. But I became a big fan of this lady's music. She's a lady now, I guess you could say. She's not a young girl anymore. She started when she was young, but she's all grown up now. And this is her most personal and probably the best work she has done. It's a fantastic spin. In at number 16 in my top 25 of 2020, Selena Gomez and Rare. It is a really, really great personal album from Selena Gomez. Really enjoyed this album. Fabulous spin. Rare by Selena Gomez, coming in at number 16 this year in my top 25 albums of 2020. Selena Gomez, Rare. Now, on with number 15. Number 15, the first album from these guys, I believe, in 19 years, if I'm not mistaken. First new studio album from these guys in 19 years. It's a great effort. It's growing on me more and more. It was released earlier this fall, I believe at the beginning of October. In at number 15, Blue Oyster Cult, The Symbol Remains. Double LP, another double LP. A lot of double LPs came out this year. New studio music from Blue Oyster Cult, The Symbol Remains. A fantastic spin, and certainly worthy of the top 25, putting it in at number 15 in my top 25 of 2020. Blue Oyster Cult, The Symbol Remains. Next up, number 14. 14th place is the debut album from this band, and they are a band signed to Riding Easy Records, who of course published the Brown Acid series, which I'm a big fan of. This particular band, they are absolutely great. I hope to see more albums coming from these guys, but they dropped this one back in, I think it was late March, mid-March, something like that, right around the time the pandemic started. It's a great rock and roll. I would describe these guys as a smushed together garage band, hard rock band, stoner rock band, punk band, all mashed together. So you got all sorts of styles on here. You got punk on here, like I said, garage, stoner rock, hard rock. A fantastic band. I really love this album. It's a great rock and spin. They are the Goners, and this is Good Morning. That's right, Good Morning by the Goners at number 14 in my top 25 albums of 2020. The Goners, Good Morning. Rock and roll, everybody. Goners, Good Morning. In at number 13, a fantastic spin in at number 13. I was tempted to place this one a little bit higher, but I'm going to leave it at 13 because the ones that are coming are definitely worthy of the positions they got. This is my first album by these guys. They are a German, I believe a German band. And the best way to describe this music and these guys is Pink Floyd. Yeah, they remind me a lot of Pink Floyd, a modern Pink Floyd. Though this album is mostly instrumental with very little vocals, I absolutely love this album because, like I said, it reminds me of, early Pink Floyd where they did a lot of instrumental things like echoes and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of their instrumental works, or even, some of David Gilmour's instrumental stuff. But I absolutely love these guys. They are called Nautilus, and this album is called The Mystery of the Waterfalls, and I highly, highly recommend this album to any Pink Floyd fans. Will see what I'm talking about when they play this. Mostly instrumental. Nautilus, The Mystery of the Waterfalls, and it's based on Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So it's mostly instrumental, and the vocals that you do hear on this album are actually passages, quotes from the actual novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. This is an incredible spin. Like I said, it's Pink Floyd. It's modern Pink Floyd. If I were to try to classify it as anything, if you like Pink Floyd, you will like this album. Trust me, you will like this album if you like Pink Floyd. Fantastic, kind of ambient, progressive rock, ambient, something in that vein. Absolutely fantastic spin. I'm putting it at number 13 in my top 25 new releases of 2020. Nautilus, Mystery of Waterfalls. In at number 12 was an album that I've talked about before. I actually talked about it in my Christmas video. I've talked about it when I first started my channel. An album I was involved in the vinyl production of. I was in charge of dealing with the record company for the artist and inspecting the test pressings. And though this is sort of a seasonal album, it is a seasonal album, but you can actually play this all year long. And I played this heavily. It came out digitally at the end of November 2019, but did not drop on vinyl until January of 2020. January of this year, it dropped on vinyl. And I spun it all last winter and a couple of times during the summer. And of course, now that we're into the winter again, it makes me want to spin it because it is definitely a winter feeling album and a great spin. And the sound quality of this album is absolutely incredible. I can't speak her. This lady has a gorgeous voice, and she is a symphonic metal artist. She's a Canadian independent, another Canadian independent artist. She's a symphonic metal artist. Her name is Lee. I've talked about her before, and this is Ancient Winter, and I'm giving it the 12th place for my top 25 new studio albums of 2020. I'm putting it in 12th place. An incredible spin, Ancient Winter from Lee. I highly, highly recommend this album. You will absolutely love it. And this one is not symphonic metal inspired, but more Celtic inspired music. But it is absolutely gorgeous and gets number 12 in my top 25 albums of 2020. And now let's slide all these suckers over. We're getting down there, In at number 11, this one dropped right at the beginning of November, so it could possibly have placed higher if given more time to really explore it. But it dropped at the beginning of November. I absolutely love this artist. I've followed her since the mid-'80s when she first started, and she continues to make fantastic music. She's from Australia. Her name is Kylie Minnow, and this is her latest effort, released at the beginning of November this year, called Disco, and the name just tells you it all. It's a fantastic synth pop, dance pop, disco pop, everything pop. It's an absolutely wonderful album, and I'm putting it in at a number 11 in my top 25 of 2020. Disco. This was the exclusive pre-order version on a gorgeous clear vinyl. That actually one of the few clear vinyl albums I have that sounds really good. Clear vinyl albums tend to not sound as good as other colors. I don't know why. But this one, absolutely fantastic. It's been Kylie Minnow, and she goes more by Kylie. And Disco, highly recommended. In at number 11, my top 25 of 2020. And here they go. The mother load. This is it. The Bombastics. The big guns. The big guns. Here they are. My top 10 of 2020. Top 10 of 2020. Starting off in 10th position is, oops, just put that there. Starting off in 10th position is Coldplay, and this dropped at the very, very end of November 2019. So hence it does qualify by my standards for 2020 because it dropped right at the end of November and started spinning it in December last year. And this is their latest double LP, Coldplay, Everyday Life. Fantastic album. I love Coldplay. I have all their albums, and this did not disappoint. It's not as probably good as their previous album. It's probably not as hit chart friendly, but I love this album, and absolutely I played this thing to death. So definitely worthy of my top 10, and it is in number 10th position on my top 25 albums of 2020. Coldplay, Everyday Life. Number 9, Revolution. No, it's not Revolution. That's not the Beatles. It's not Revolution number 9, but number 9 on my top 25 from a female guitarist, solo artist. And she's a guitarist. She's played with so many other bands. She's toured with Alice Cooper many, many years, touring with Alice Cooper. She plays with just about everybody. She did release some solo material many years ago. I'm glad to see her release finally a full-length studio album. Her name is Orianthi, and this is her O album, and this is rock and roll, balls to the wall, rock and roll from this young lady. She can play a mean guitar. She's probably one of the best rock guitarists, female rock guitarists in the world, hands down. She is incredible, and I love this album. And this one came out in, I guess, early October, mid-October, something like that. But it does not disappoint, and I've been rocking this album since it came out. In at number 9, Orianthi, and her O album. I highly recommend it. Next up, in at number 8, from a legend. This man is a legend, and he released an album early in February of 2020, and I love this album. And personally, it is my favorite album he's done as a solo artist, not with a band. He was originally in Black Sabbath. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne, and his latest release that dropped in February of this year, Ordinary Man. I'm putting it in at 8th position, a fantastic spin. 8th place goes to Ozzy Osbourne and his Ordinary Man album, an absolutely fabulous spin. Ozzy Osbourne, Ordinary Man. In at number 7, I might be a little biased on this artist, but I tried to, the artists that are, obviously my favorites, I still tried to rank them and appreciate their work outside of my personal opinion of the artist. But in my opinion, this album is fantastic. The thing I love about this next album that's in 7th position is it has all styles of music. It has garage rock on it. It has punk rock on it. It has pop on it. It has 60s girl group on it. It has jazz on it. It's a real hodgepodge. It's a full double album, 20 songs, a full double album, all killer, no filler. She used to play with Transvision Vamp. I've talked about her many, many times. Her name is Wendy James. She's currently working on her 10th solo album, and this is her album from May of this year, and this is a crowdfunders edition, autographed. Miss Wendy James, and Queen High Straight, a absolutely spectacular album. It's got something for everybody on it. That's what I love about this album, is there's music of all genres on here. So there's a flavor on here for just about every listener out there. An incredible double LP, Miss Wendy James, Queen High Straight. I highly recommend it. Number 7 in my top 25 albums of 2020. And now going into number 6, a man that needs no introduction other than simply he is known as the Boss. That's right, the Boss, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. He came back in October this year with his new album with the E Street Band, and he still got it. He's still a boss as far as I'm concerned. A fantastic spin from Bruce Springsteen, Letter to You. An incredible spin, coming in at number 6 on my top 25 albums of 2020. Bruce Springsteen, Letter to You, a fantastic effort from Bruce Springsteen. Love it, love it, love it. I cannot get enough of it. Spinning it more and more and more as time goes on. Like I said, I got it late October, so it's still high in my playlist. Bruce Springsteen, Letter to You, number 6. Here we go, top 5, people, top 5. Getting down to the nitty gritty here. And in 5th place, an album that really surprised me. Really surprised me. An album produced by Bob Ezrin, who produced their previous 2 albums, which I also really enjoyed, but this one is miles ahead of the previous 2 Bob Ezrin productions for this group. A group that a lot of people thought didn't have it anymore, and a lot of people always talk about their 70s stuff, their Ritchie Blackmore stuff, and not a lot of people give this band credit for their 2000s and 2010s material. But in 5th place for my top 25 of 2020, Deep Purple and their Whoosh album. Absolutely fantastic. Deep Purple, Whoosh, probably the best album since, definitely the best album since Perfect Strangers. And in my opinion, it could even be the best album for me personally since Machine Head. So that's high praise indeed. I absolutely love this album. Highly recommend it. Deep Purple, Whoosh, in at number 5 in my top 25 of 2020. Deep Purple, Whoosh. What a fantastic album. Number 4 this year, another one of my favorite bands, the Pet Shop Boys, and their synth pop, dance pop masterpiece again from this year. And yeah, I'm probably a little bit biased because I am a big Pet Shop Boys fan. But the number one thing we needed in this pandemic and this year is feel-good music, and the Pet Shop Boys' new album, Hotspot, is definitely feel-good music. I absolutely love it. This was a pre-release, pre-order, an autographed edition, so a real treat to have an autographed edition. Pet Shop Boys, Hotspot, a fantastic release from the Pet Shop Boys. They are back better than ever, and definitely a great synth pop, dance pop album masterpiece for sure. The Pet Shop Boys in at 4th place. 4th place, and 4th and 3rd were kind of tied, actually. 4th and 3rd were kind of tied. Yesterday I would have put Hotspot at 3rd, and the next one at 4th. Today I'm putting Hotspot at 4th, and the next one at 3rd, so it's almost kind of like a tie for 3rd and 4th. But Hotspot by the Pet Shop Boys in at 4th place in the top 25 albums of 2020. Down to the top 3. Here we go. The bronze medal winner for 2020. AGK's bronze medal winner for 2020. Another band that hasn't made an album for a long time. In fact, these guys haven't made a studio album for 29 years. That's right, 9 years. They haven't made a studio album. They came back with an absolutely spectacular album. I think it's the best album they ever made, actually. And I absolutely fell in love with this album. Cannot stop playing it. Still high rotation. It's the Psychedelic Furs, Made of Rain, number 3, bronze medal winner on AGK's top 25 new studio vinyl albums of 2020. The Psychedelic Furs, Made of Rain, number 3 for 2020. And now the final 2. Our silver medal winner, And funnily enough, our silver medal winner is on, silver vinyl. I just realized that right now. So our silver medal winner, a lady that needs no introduction. She has been a tour de force for the last 11 years or so. Her first album came out in 2009, and she has torn up the charts in the last 10 years. She's undoubtedly probably one of the best artists of the last 10 years, female artists. She's, like I said, a tour de force, an incredible talent, and she just keeps getting better and better. Though I did not like her previous album, Joanne, so much. Art Pop was okay, but I think this was her best album since Born This Way. This album is another dance pop. Yeah, it's funny, last year my top 3 albums last year were all rock albums. The top 2 albums this year are both pop albums. That's right, both pop albums this year. And like I said, this lady is absolutely incredible. This is her latest work. It's Lady Gaga and her Chromatica album from this year. I'm giving it the silver medal spot, number 2 on my top 25 albums of 2020. Lady Gaga, Chromatica. I wish they'd done a better job on the cover, because the CD had a great cover. There's a picture disc version that was beautiful. And this, they kind of give a weird design on this. It's cool, but I would have liked to have seen the cover art that they used on the CD on here. But we don't play the cover. We play the record, and this is a record to play. It's almost like a concept album. It featured many guest artists on it, including Elton John and Ariana Grande, a fabulous artist, of course. Ariana Grande doing Rain on Me on here with Lady Gaga, and the K-pop band Blackpink doing Sour Candy on here. This is a spectacular masterpiece of a synth pop, dance pop album. Lady Gaga, Chromatica in at number 2. Last but not least, here's the winner, the gold medal winner on AGK's top 25 albums of 2020. Hands down, no competition. I showed this album back in June on my top 10 albums for the first half of 2020. And at that time, I had not ranked them. I just said these are 10 albums that I think will be very big hitters come the end of the year. And I had predicted this one to place very highly at the end of the year. At that time, this album dropped in May of this year, and it is feel-good album of the year as far as I'm concerned. And that's exactly what we needed this year, is a feel-good album, and that's why this one has, I think, hit number 1 for me for this year. Is it just makes me feel good every time I spin it. I have played this album to death over and over, in my car, at home, everywhere. This album, I just love this album. It just gets my toe tapping. It's a great spin. It's had 6 singles. It's nominated for 6 Grammy Awards. So that says a lot, and congratulations to her for that. And she just won my gold medal for the AGK top number 1 album of 2020 is Dua Lipa. Future Nostalgia. That's right, Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia. An absolute masterpiece. Her second album, an absolute pop, synth pop, dance pop masterpiece. Incredible album. Absolutely love this. This album always makes me feel good. In a year that was nothing but bad news after bad news, this was some extremely good news. And like I said, I highly recommend this album to everybody out there. It's a feel-good album. 6 fantastic singles so far from it. Levitating, Hallucinate, Break My Heart, Don't Start Now, Physical, and something else. Levitating, I hope I got them all. But just a pile of singles. She's everywhere. You see her everywhere. This is an absolutely fantastic. And of course, this was the super deluxe limited edition, which I've shown many, many times before. Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia. An absolutely incredible spin. Dua Lipa. Congratulations, Dua Lipa. You can come pick up your award anytime, dear. Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia, number 1 album of 2020 on my top 25 albums of 2020. Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia, congratulations. And that's it, that's all. I got through it. And I'll see you all next year. And I'll give just a few shout outs before I go to people, to some of the fellow VCers that I've met over the course of 2020 and become good friends, virtual friends, I guess. But I do consider these people friends, just like friends I know in person right here where I live. These are all friends I've met in the VC, and I love all their channels, and I consider them all good friends, and I talk to a lot of them on a daily basis on various streams, and they're worthy of shout outs for the end of the year. So shout out to Glenn Calloway, who broadcast from his basement. Glenn, it was really great to know you this year, and I look forward to talking with you in the new year. Robert's on my turntable. He's a coffee kind of guy. Robert from On My Turntable. Rachel, a music man. She's fun. She has a controversial stream that has changed a lot over the months, and it's turned into a really great stream with some really great people on it. And I try to drop in there when I can. Rachel, the music man, fellow Canadian. Norman Maslov, Mazzy. Channel 33 RPM, Frank Landry, one of the people that inspired me to start a channel myself. Melinda Murphy, another channel that inspired me to start my own channel. Prog Hat, Edward. Jack Strack's a young kid that blows my mind. He's a young kid, you know, like my daughter's age, just a young teenage boy, and his knowledge of music just blows my mind. Jack Strack's Records, look him up. He's fantastic. Happy New Year, Jack Strack's. So many other people, and of course my dear friend David Michael, Naz Nomad, my number one inspiration for beginning my channel, and he helped me start my channel, and we've become very, very good friends over the past year. So Naz Nomad, happy New Year, buddy. And to everybody else I've forgotten, there's so many. Captain Spaulding Records, Groovy Lisa, there's so many people out there. I can't even list you all, and I'm sorry if I forgot some of your names, but you know I appreciate all you VC members, and I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thanks for watching as always, and Happy New Year. And as I always say, rock and roll.